before you hit the launch button, before you hit the publish button on your landing page, before you hit the launch button on your Kickstarter page, whatever it is, you have to build an audience, because again, there will be some discoverability on the platform, but for the most part, you have to drive the traffic. So building that audience, I focus on building your email list and then using social media, content marketing, whatever it is, wherever your ideal customer is hanging out, to drive them to your campaign.
Hi, and welcome to Season 8 of the 15-ish Minute Coffee Chat with Anna Larson and Selena Conmack. Together with their rotating panel of expert guests, these real-life boss babes share lessons learned and best practices you can use to level up your business. Anna is the owner of Nomadabout and is known for blending killer copy with proven marketing methods to create exciting business communications. Selena owns Howley Socially Inspired, and from layout to launch, her sleek website design and trending social media strategies provide a memorable customer experience with a taste of that famous Aloha spirit. Now it's time to laugh and be inspired, so grab a cup of coffee and enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone. Have you embraced the concept of crowdfunding or pre-selling products and services? Our guest today, Shannon Lohr, founder and CEO of Factory45, is going to share how building a clientele wanting your product before it's available at market is a great way to mitigate startup costs that can drain your business bank account. Let's talk about how you can create a plan of attack for launching a successful pre-sales campaign during today's 15-ish minute coffee chat.
Hey, friend. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
I know.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, this is also day 5 of our video every day in April challenge.
Yeah.
So Selena and I are going live every single day in April. Yes, weekends included.
Right.
Our 15-ish minute coffee chat is today's live stream. Yeah.
This is the first time you're tuning into that type of challenge, we did this last year because we love, this is not an ad or a sponsor, but we use StreamYard to do all of our lives, and we love just the user friendability of it. You guys, this is why Anna's the copywriter. I'm just the designer. So we are excited. Yeah, day 5. Also, you guys, if you're in the military community, April is the month of the military child. So yay to our kiddos and to your kiddos.
Yes, for sure. Tell us where you're joining from right now. If you're tuning in live, just pop it in the comments. And remember, we love an interactive show. So if you have questions for Shannon that you want answered, drop them in the comments. We're going to pull them up. We're going to say hi. We're going to look. Here's user friendability from John. Thanks, John.
It's going in the dictionary as a new word, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm excited for today's guest. And I think, what is the call to action question, Anna, that we have for today's show for Shannon?
Well, so our question today is, have you embraced the concept of crowdfunding or pre-selling products and services? And I love this question because one of the biggest issues with entrepreneurship, right, is having the money to launch.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got great ideas, but there's so much involved in the startup cost of your business. And so many of us are trying to DIY and bootstrap it. And so this idea of crowdfunding and pre-selling, while it's very strong in some industries, hasn't really permeated into many others. And I think that there's a place for it. So I'm excited to have Shannon come and talk about that today.
Yes, you guys, she has coached and mentored 500 entrepreneurs. In this way. So I think we have like a pretty big deal expert that can answer some questions should you have them now or on the replay. So, that's the call to action. Just say, no, never even thought about it. Didn't even realize it was a possibility, right?
Yeah, I'm curious if anyone listening has ever done a crowdfunding or pre-sale kind of opportunity. So drop that in the comments for us.
Yeah. All right. We're going to head into, and we're going to read Shannon's bio because you need to know who this fabulous person is. Shannon Lohr is the founder of Factory45, the online business school trusted by over 500 entrepreneurs since 2014. Over the years, she's worked with aspiring designers all over the globe to launch or grow their brands in a way that's better for people and planet. Yes, we had this conversation in the back, and I was so happy. reading this, coming from Hawaii. Shannon got her start in 2010 when she co-founded Revolution Apparel. I'm going to have to ask her if I said that right with the brackets. A sustainable clothing brand for female travelers and minimalists that was featured by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and Forbes.com. Well,
she's kind of a big deal. Let's bring her in.
Yes. Yay. Hi, Shannon.
My hype women. Thank you for that.
Shannon, people tell us that all the time. They want to like take us with them after the show, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
On a bad day, just got Selena and Anna in my little pocket.
I know. Well, it's kind of hard not to have be your hype person. I just think what you're doing is phenomenal, not only, but you make an impact also in the business that you are in. So
thank you.
Yay. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Why don't we, before we dive into the questions, because we did talk about 15 minutes time frame today with Shannon, and she had a little giggle at us and how we do this, but let's do a little coffee cup selfie that we like to do. All right. Take your picture with Shannon on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, let's dive in. Anna, let's get into the first question. Let's do it.
Yes, let's. Well, before we get into the first question, I do want to pull this up. We do have one current launcher that had a successful crowdfunding campaign last year, a Kickstarter campaign. So I'm glad we have at least one person in our audience that has tried this out, and it was successful.
Yeah.
But, okay, our very first question today. Why is crowdfunding or pre-selling important for an entrepreneur to think about and know about?
Oh man. So, I mean, you guys introed it very well. I think the risk that you have as an entrepreneur can feel scary, right? When you're first starting out, you don't know, like, should you take the plunge? Should you invest in your idea? Should you, all the should not. And so pre-selling really, whether it is a product, which is what I focus on, but it can be a service, really allows you that freedom to test the market before you invest thousands of dollars, let's say, in a production run of a physical product. For me, it's fashion, but it could be anything. John, I'm so curious what your successful crowdfunding campaign was last year. If you can pop a link in the chat, I'd love to look at it. And so I think that's what is, it's not for everybody, but I think that more and more it's becoming one of the best ways for new businesses to launch.
When you say it's not for everybody, what do you mean by that in terms of like, is there an industry in specifically, or is it just a personal thing? Like I don't feel comfortable doing it this way, or what's the line that you're talking?
Yeah, I think it depends on the platform you're using. So like, for example, if you're using Kickstarter, typically when you get into those higher priced items, like over $250 US, you're starting to get to kind of the upper tier of what the Kickstarter audience will tolerate for pricing, depending on what it is. But I think that you can do pre-selling on your own e-commerce site. You can do it. I mean, I even think back, I run Factory45, which is an online business school. But back in 2014, when I was just starting out, I actually pre-sold the program. So that's like a product service. It's not a physical product. So really, like, it can span across all industries. I think you just have to be intentional about the platform that you're choosing and the pricing of your, whatever it is, a product or service.
Yeah.
I have like a zillion questions in my head, but I'm going to just let it sit in first. Because I told you I don't eloquently say things out loud. So we'll move on to the next question until we can. Yeah.
Well, before we go to the next question, I wanted to say, so I'm not in the fashion industry. I'm a copywriter, right? And clearly, if you're looking at my outfit today, it might also display that I am not a fashion guru. But I went to your Instagram and I was kind of like just looking through it. And Shannon's got a ton of stuff on Instagram that is like cross business smart. And so I want to throw this quote up of something that you said that really relates to this question in particular. So you said, there are things you can do today to test, experiment, and see if your idea is worth pursuing before investing. Yes. I loved that, like, thought, and this was in just like a mini live that she did on Instagram, but I loved that thought behind the idea. It's not, you don't, if there's not an ideal client out there, then why would you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars creating something that then you can't find anybody to actually purchase? Like, this just made so much sense to me. But it's the same for like a service, right? So that really is our next question. I'm going to throw that up here. Next question is, can you apply these same tactics to services that you can to actual products? Because usually a Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign, it's a product, it's a purse, it's a book, it's a hat, it's a something, right? So what about services?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the service-based entrepreneurs have it even easier, I think, because they don't have to do product development or create samples or patterns or find a manufacturer or do the whole lookbook, you know. So yes, if you're in a service-based industry, you can do this. I mean, lead pages, put up a landing page, right? A basic one pager that was sales copy, your headline, your logo, your sticky message, and see what happens. Drive traffic to it from social media, from maybe a blog, from your email list, from YouTube, whatever it is, guest appearances like these, and just see, you know, what happens. See if there are people who pick up and you know, it's sticky enough that they want what you're offering.
That just reframed how I was thinking with that, because I just thought, oh man, like we won't be as successful because we have to have this tangible product for people to want to like invest. But I realize we are the tangible product. And like you said, our overhead is not, there's all this extras we don't have to do. God, never even thought about that like that.
Yeah. And I'll bring it back again to like 2014 when I was launching Factory45, an online program, right? And so I put up a basic landing page. My goal was to get 10 people to sign up to the program. I had never done it before. It was an experiment. I made it an application. I did 1 million guest posts at the time, because that was, you know, content marketing back then was guest posting. Drove traffic to the landing page, and then I think I got like 30 people to apply, and I accepted 10, and I didn't have the program yet. I built the program with those 10 people. So that is pre-selling a service-based product.
That was going to be my follow-up was, did you already have the class already done, or did you create it once you got your audience? So you built the class with the first 10 people. Is that something you would recommend, or would you say a service-based person should have prepared already?
Yeah, so I would definitely have a curriculum outlined for sure. I had the whole curriculum of 5 modules, and then I had built out module 1. So I knew that, okay, if nobody signs up for this program, I invested time in making module 1, but I didn't spend time investing in all 5 modules, which would take hours and hours. Right. But what happens also as you're creating the content with those first 10 people is they're telling you what they need. You know, you're able to change, adapt. It's not so set in stone that you're realizing, oh, I made a curriculum that these people like don't even want. It's not even helpful for them.
I almost too, like, you know, when you know somebody wants to invest in you, you almost get this like injected in excitement that kind of can, like you said, that gets also put into the finishing of the curriculum, right? Like for the class, like, so you don't feel like, will anybody come to this? Because you know you have 10 people and you're writing, you almost like gain that kind of different perspective when you're, like you said, they're telling you what they want. So now you can really give the class what they came for.
And that's entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
Like, if you're not listening to your customer, then what are you doing?
You're in the wrong business, right? Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that so much. Like my wheels are spinning, Anna. Like, why did we not think about this like this until Shannon said it?
So I have to tell you, Shannon, Selena and I have been tossing around a few ideas with our Anna and Selena business. And I'm not kidding you. This just hit home in terms of like how we need to proceed. We're like, oh, maybe by the end of the year, we'll get XYZ done. And I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
We don't need to wait till the end of the year. What you're talking about is exactly where our fear comes in, right? That fear of launching comes in. We're like, oh, we won't have the time. We don't really know what they want yet. We haven't done all of our market research yet. And so what you're saying is this pre-selling gives you the opportunity to do all of that stuff and even help develop ultimately the final product, which is amazing.
Yeah. And I think if you're very clear on the outcome that you want your customer to have, like what is the achievable, what is the deliverable at the end, then work backwards from that to create a curriculum or service, whatever it is, to lead them to that end deliverable. And I think that can be done so many different ways in a way that lets you adapt.
Yeah. So I do have a question. Like, let's say instead of 30, you had 4 people sign up for that first class, and that was it. Would you have considered moving forward with it at that point still? Like, like how do you weigh that it's worth it, it's not worth it? Is it just a personal decision where you're like, well, 4 is better than none? If I'd gotten none, then I wouldn't have done it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's so personal. I think it depends on what your price point is. Like, is that a sustainable monthly income for you? For me, it would have been, because I was charging $3,000 per person. So like I could start on that. And I was bartending on the side at the time. That was the other thing. Which, to everyone, I do not recommend quitting your side hustle or your full-time job. Like, keep that going. Because that would have allowed me, like, if I had only gotten 2 people, I could have still done it because I had this like backup income.
Shannon, I come from the restaurant background, 20 years. So I feel you on that. We know, I was on the management side though. So I would come over to the bar and talk to the bartenders and be like, so what's the situation today? You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, I love it. So no, truly, I think that was a great question, Anna and Shannon. Thank you for kind of like really, I mean, my eyes I'm excited to end this live and go to Anna and be like, let's lay it down. Like,
good.
Yes.
I know. I feel the same way, but I do have another question for you. Because now I'm super invested, right? I'm like, wait a second, we might actually be trying this. So
we are.
Right. So when you consider then doing this pre-selling crowdfunding, when you were originally talking about it, you were talking about just throw up a landing page or maybe like Kickstarter or any of those crowdfunding like sites. Is there a way to choose the site that's most appropriate for you? I mean, where do you even go to start to research those kinds of things? Or do you just keep it internal, like a landing page, if you are a service-based?
If you're service-based, I would just do a landing page. I mean, you have to be able to stay on, like to drive your own traffic is what I'm trying to say. You have to be able, Kickstarter, but even with Kickstarter, like you have to be able to drive your own traffic. You cannot just rely on Kickstarter to send you people who are just magically going to give you money. Like, that's not how it works. That's a whole other thing that I talk about in Factory45 and like the audience building piece. But for you guys have a built-in audience. So like you have the traffic to drive to, so I would just do it on a landing page.
Okay.
Makes sense. So don't think about it in just terms of going to Kickstarter, right? Like Shannon's saying, pre-selling and pre-launching is a great way to test the waters.
Yeah, I teach it on Shopify. I teach it on like a basic landing page. I teach it on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, like any of the crowdfunding sites. And then there's a new one that I've been teaching called the virtual pop-up, which is on Instagram.
Oh, love that.
Yeah. So that's like a shorter, like 7 to 10 day time frame where you're pre-selling using Instagram as your main kind of platform.
That is cool. And when you hear pop-up, that's not a forever thing. So you got to get in there. That fear of missing out thing, right, is strong. Oh, I love that. I love a good pop-up too. Like, I really do. So
it does. He's your ideal client with a pop-up, right? You just reach out to Selena. She's there. She's gonna buy something from you. She'll be like,
no. Oh my gosh. Okay, next question, Anna. Let's go before we ask her. And then she's going to go, Shannon's going to be like, now I understand why they go like way past 15 minutes.
That's why we added that ish at the end, right? Okay.
It should be like ish though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like really, like ish.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so funny. So, okay. So we do have, John is loving this conversation because he's like, so he's going to steal that idea. I think he liked the pop-up one.
Yeah.
He says Kickstarter has a funding goal. And then I like this thought that he had. I find that people who back crowdfunding are willing to invest time, money, or risk for the promise of a product. Customer that traditional consumer platforms cannot reach. So, if you find yourself in, I guess, maybe that kind of situation, then that's where you might want to go to one of those kind of crowdfunding sites to reach out. So, okay, let's go back to our questions. Our last question for Shannon today is, what is your number one tip for a successful pre-selling campaign?
Build an audience before you hit the launch button, before you hit the publish button on your landing page, before you hit the launch button on your Kickstarter page, whatever it is, you have to build an audience. Because again, Kickstarter, let's say, or whatever crowdfunding platform will drive some traffic for you. There will be some discoverability on the platform, but for the most part, you have to drive the traffic. So building that audience, I focus on building your email list, and then using social media, content marketing, whatever it is, wherever your ideal customer is hanging out, to drive them to your campaign. And really doing this 6 to 12 months in advance, which seems like a lot of people are like, oh my God, not for service-based business, but for product-based businesses. Building up that audience months for months so that they are invested in your journey, so that they're a part of the behind the scenes, so that you're sharing, you're having them vote on fabric swatches or buttons or design elements, and they feel invested in a part of it, so that by the time you do launch, they're like ready and just ready to support you and to pre-order what you're selling.
So I love this again. You just kind of like threw me for a loop. Like in my head, I've always felt like you have to have everything decided on before you can launch. That's like, for whatever reason, that's been like this internal thing, right? But what you're saying is, no, let your audience help you choose what you're doing. Like, I love that you just said, help them choose the buttons or the colors, or I'm like, oh, that's so smart, because then the final product is something that they've already put time and energy and effort in. They're going to want it.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I've been part of Kickstarter projects where I've contributed with steps like that, right? Where they're like, hey, this is the next phase. Like, what do we think about adding this drop? And I've always been so excited to know that a decision I helped provide made it to the final result. And I think it just really kind of solidifies that, like you said, like building that audience for you, and they'll carry on to your next product launches, right? Or service launch, or
those early adopters, which is really what they are, the ones that back your Kickstarter, like the ones who are going to be your customers for life, if they have a good experience, if they love the product. So getting people to invest even before, in that pre-launch phase, there's nothing more powerful for your marketing and for the future success of your company.
So good. So
what if you're having a hard time finding your audience? Where do you start to like dig, right? Because when you're a brand new entrepreneur with this great idea, like it really is ground zero, I mean, where would you recommend, or how? I mean, for you, you said it was guest posting because that was the 2014 thing to do.
Yeah.
So what would it be now in 2022?
Facebook groups are very powerful, as you both probably know. YouTube, searching keywords, because YouTube's a search engine. It's like Google, right? So looking at the comments, like if you search something on YouTube that relates back to your service or product, and then you find a related video, you can look through the comments. What are people asking? What are they following up on? What do they still not understand? Instagram, hashtags, searching competitors, searching collaborators, cross promoting, podcast interviews, content marketing like this, where you can get on camera in front of existing audiences, because one of the hardest things is building your own audience from scratch, right? So if you can get in front of existing audiences and then drive a few people over to your kind of ecosystem on the internet, your social media, your email list, your text list, whatever it is, then that's just one more way to kind of build up your audience.
So you're saying networking is very key here when you're building that audience, right? Like,
oh yeah.
So you guys, what Shannon is telling you, it is not supposed to be just an easy fix. You have to put the work into it, right? Like, that's just business.
Yes.
You know,
and anyone who tells you otherwise, be careful, because there are a lot of get rich quick schemes on the internet, and it just doesn't. I've been in this game too long to know that it does not work that way.
No, I 100%. And
I love this like course that you've put together. Like, I feel like you should just navigate it into the all industry aspect as opposed to just your fashion brands.
Because then I wouldn't be niche, which is one of my other like marketing things, like start niche. That's how you find your audience even faster.
Yes.
So true.
I'm going to just say this right now. Anyone who's looking at sustainable fashion brand as an opportunity, this is your lady right here. Like, such a good advice today. And this is just one small part of that whole, like, running a business, being an entrepreneur, you know, owning your own business kind of thing. This is just a tiny little piece of it, is that product launch. But already such great information that you've given us today, Shannon, about just one option that people can take. And it really is like, it really is kind of like that motivator to also support your dreams, right? Because their burnout is real when you're trying to build something and you get tired. And so when you have these people cheering you on and saying, we love the blue buttons, or, you know, whatever it is, I just feel like that would just be inspiring to do that.
That's the fuel added to the fire to kind of keep you going, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want everybody to, we're at the part where we're unfortunately done with questions, because Shannon has lots of things to do, you guys. So we are going to have Shannon tell you where you can find her, all the things. So go ahead, Shannon.
If you're interested in launching a sustainable fashion or accessories brand, you can go to factory45.co and see what the program's all about. The curriculum's on there. We have alumni mentors who you're matched up with one-on-one. They've already graduated from the program and launched their own brands, so they're doing what you want to be doing. We have a private Facebook group where you can get free resources handed to you every day. I do a live show every Thursday within that Facebook group. And then, of course, I'm on Instagram and on YouTube with how-tos and more educational videos.
So no excuses, guys. You can't say, like, how do I find her? She's pretty much, you just got to go. And you can't forget Factory45. I just kind of feel like that's
alliteration.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And like, you know, like Anna was mentioning, Anna got a little like lost in Shannon's Instagram because she was like, I love this. Like, this is great, you know? So, a toolkit that Anna and I wanted to bring up today is you need to add Shannon's free resources. I'm going to have her just tell you what's there, but this is what's going into my toolkit is I want to dive into all the things she's given. But Shannon, what are some of your favorites that they should like head over to that, you know?
Yeah, if you go to factory45.co/blog, that's where all of the free resources are. So whether that's general entrepreneurship, like encouragement or marketing and advice, or more specific, like we have fabric supplier email templates and a manufacturing checklist, a spec sheet template. So if you're more interested in the fashion side of things, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and there's freebies there.
I mean, you guys, freebies, right? We were just talking about this in a group last week about, do you have a lead magnet or a freebie for your website? And so this is perfect, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So go ahead there. We're going to drop the links in the comments so you'll see it on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. I think, Anna, what's our tip of the...
Yeah, our tip. So we always like to finish out with a financial tip for our small business owners and entrepreneur audience. But this comes from Caitlin Eldridge CPA. And last week we talked about having short-term disability. So this week, consider long-term disability insurance. Also, don't ever deduct your premiums for long-term disability insurance. If you do, it creates taxable income where there didn't have to be any. So only use after-tax dollars to pay for it. So super smart tip from Caitlin Eldridge. Remember, just because you're a small business doesn't mean you don't need insurance.
Yes.
All
right, Anna.
Okay, so next week we have our upcoming live stream, How Understanding Human Design Will Help You in Business with Melissa Kirk. This is next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central. So we're excited to have her on and talking about human design and scientific hand analysis, which I'm a little like, wow, like, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm super curious.
Right.
That's all of it. Especially in the business world. Anyhow, you can find us at annaandselena.com, at our new website, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or your favorite podcast platform. But before we turn out, we want to be sure and say thank you so much to Shannon, our guest today, for all this fabulous information she's given us. Make sure you go find her and connect with her on one of her many social platforms.
Yeah.
I know I'm now an Instagram fan, so I'm going to be tuning in and checking out all your Instagram lives, Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. This is really fun to talk to you.
Yay. Awesome. So you guys, will see you next week. Thanks again to Shannon. Bye. Aloha.